We are really not apex predators if we don't have
We're
tools.
omnivores. We're not really...
We're omnivores, yeah, but...
We're douchebags that kill things.
Yeah. If you want to get right down to it, the only way we can survive is really through apex predator suppression.
I thought we were just the guys with the guns.
We are the guys with the guns, but we're
it's
suppressing the apex predators.
It's pack mentality. You don't need to suppress them, you need to drive them away. But because we're smart, we learned that genocide is an easier way to do that.
That explains a lot about human history.
I say, can we have one conversation that doesn't end in genocide?
I played a game when I was younger, and you played as, I can't remember what it was called, but you played as an animal, and I used to play as a fox a lot, because fox is one of my favourite animals that I could play on there. You could be
Foxes
a badger
are cool.
as well.
Foxes are awesome. Badgers are also awesome.
Yeah. And if you're playing as like a mouse, it was really hard, because you had to eat things, but there are more things that could eat you. Playing as the bear was the easiest thing that wasn't a human. Because the only thing that could take down was a human, and if you were a human, you were just a hunter with a gun, and you just shot stuff for fun. It was like the original Civilization game where you just like 2D sprites and you just moved.
Yeah.
Would move into things. So that's what it's like.
But as the human being, you just...
So it's like a combination. It's like a combination of Civilization and Oregon Trail.
Except more like the parts of Oregon Trail where
you just go and shoot.
Shoot a whole bunch of bison, and a sad Indian stands there with one tear rolling down his face.
You shot 450 pounds of meat, but you can only carry 25 pounds back to the wagon.
You wasteful fuck.
It's okay. My 20,000 grandfather clocks need feeding.
Oregon Trail was the best game.
I mean, really, when you're going across the Oregon Trail, you want to make sure you keep good time.
I mean, this is how it's going to work, right? A lot of people are going to die. We're going to be very hungry, but we're going to make a shit ton of money when we get there.
Who wants a grandfather clock? Especially made in the East.
Well, it was the
Craftsman builders.
The 1800s. That's all they had.
Yeah, of course.
All anyone had were grandfather clocks?
To tell time.
Because we have forded the river.
I think they had
and I think
watches.
was it the River Stake or something?
It was the Arkansas River?
Okay, I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, because we've forded that river with a horse and cart, those grandfather clocks aren't good for anything. And then you have to get back, carrying a lot of money.
Well, you could just live out there.
In Oregon? What are you, crazy?
Oregon's nice.
The trouble is you rely on everyone bringing stuff down the route that you know is really hard and kills a lot of people.
That's true.
You make your money, you go back, and then you set up a store and then make your living selling 2-bit equipment to people that you know are going to die and not come back and complain about how bad the equipment is.
You ever see the movie Wagons East?
No, I haven't.
It's about a wagon trail that's fed up with Oregon and tries to go back to New York.
Oh, wow. I was going to say, have we brought up the Donner Party on this podcast yet?
So we're going to cannibalism, too. First genocide, then cannibalism.
Let's just cover all our bases
on
this podcast.
Cannibalism.
Huh?
We're not allowed to mention cannibalism because I bring it up too often. But anyway, so this was all started from me remembering that I needed to show you cute pictures of mental disorders.
God, we have some weird conversations.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, hi guys, welcome to Palaeo After Dark. Your bi-weekly paleontology info thing. We got I'm James.
I'm Amanda.
I'm Kurt.
I'm Paula.
Yep. And we're talking about stuff today.
Echinoderms.
Paula really likes echinoderms.
Echinoderms or echinoids or what's the other big name?
The other big name for them?
I mean, they're all different things, but
I mean, technically,
echinoids, echinoderms, and
echinodermata.
Well, that's the group.
Yeah. Well, anyway, they're the things that you would think should be radiolata, but they're not because they're derived from bilateria.
Yep.
And there's one person out there who laughed at that.
You want to explain why that's funny to everyone else?
That's just whatever. These are two older groups. Radiolata just means radial symmetry, and it's the more basal or primitive form. Bilateria means bilateral symmetry, so you can cut it in half and have two equal sides.
That's
like,
your education
but they're
for this
not
one.
any of those.
Huh?
Right?
They're radial.
pentameral.
Well, they're pentameral. They're not perfectly radial.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the thing is, everything can be divided into bilateral symmetry. Everything. The only thing that can't is something that's got no other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, okay. There are like crystal forms that are amorphous and can't be bilaterally symmetrical.
Opal!
Yeah.
But they're not.
Those aren't living things.
Anything in biology.
What about an amoeboid? Is an amoeboid at any given time bilaterally symmetrical?
Here's the thing. You're thinking, if you think about it in 2D, no. But if you think about it in 3D, you'll be able to cross-section it some way so it's more or less half and half.
He has a point there.
Yeah, I think also the fact that it's squishable, you can probably push it into a bilaterally symmetrical shape at some point, because its boundaries are constantly shifting.
Yay, amoeboids. They get into your brain sometimes.
I know they do.
Bad.
Yeah, and then you go insane and die, and there is no cure.
Yeah, 98% fatality rate.
Don't
Woohoo!
get lake water up your nose, kids.
Nope.
But I mean, humans aren't bilateral symmetry.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause
Well,
we
okay,
only
we're-
have one heart, and it's like not going to be symmetrical.
We're not perfectly bilaterally symmetrical, and also
I've only got one liver.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure there's lots.
But
of
if you
and our
squish it
innards
around.
are totally not bilaterally
Yeah,
symmetrical,
no.
and no innards inside a bilateria is bilaterally symmetrical. It's just
so it's just the outside.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just
okay.
imagining you took an axe to the half your body and then put a mirror up there. It would look like there was a full person there. If you
Okay.
excuse the blood.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's actually how I taught it in my classes.
I know how I'm teaching it from now on.
I'm just saying, that's one of the things that's quite true is people remember things better if you link it to either sex or violence, and it's really hard to link it to sex without getting people, raising eyebrows.
That's true. That is very true.
So violence, it's fun for the whole family.
That's why people try and get little kids into R-rated movies.
Yeah, that's exactly why they try and do it. It has nothing to do with the fact that the movies look awesome and the kids are constantly clamoring to go to them.
Nope, not at all.
Nope, nothing at all.
'Cause they want them to learn things.
They want them to
from
learn about
Hollywood.
the awesomeness of violence and how great blowing people away with a gun is.
Yep.
God bless America.
It's kind of terrifying, actually.
Yes, it is.
Well, I was kind of sarcastic.
No, I mean, there's two ways to watch every movie. There's one way where it's like, this is awesome, and then you just watch it another way and you realise that every time somebody dies, they stop doing anything and aren't in the movie anymore. It kind of gets a bit bleaker.
Yeah, every single if you just imagine that every single henchman in a Bond movie has like a family and kids to go back to who just are going to starve to
The
death.
only misanthropic arsehole without anybody who cares for him is the one doing all the killing.
Yes. And then at the end, he just, sleeps with random women to celebrate the fact that he's murdered countless.
Maybe I need to stop murdering people.
I mean, James, would you like a martini?
That's right. You're already halfway there. You just need to change your last name.
My last name's better than his.
And to be fair, I think they established early on that is not his original last name.
last name, yeah.
Nope. Yeah.
Lambsdale. James Lambsdale.
Have you never heard me tell my name to somebody whenever they ask me what my name is in an official capacity? That's how I say it.
Lambsdale, James Lambsdale.
Actually, you say Lambsdale, then you spell it, and then you go James Lambsdale.
Yeah, that's because I'm having to deal with the idiots.
I have to spell my last name. It's 4 letters long.
Yeah, I knew how to spell your name before you even told me what it was.
I have to spell out my last name too a lot.
Yeah.
You're German, that's why.
Technically, so's mine, but we took out the U.
It makes sense. Then again, I saw a lot of Columbo, so...
I always spell my last name and then people pronounce it wrong.
You also spell it wrong.
People pronounce mine wrong too.
I spell it the British way.
How would you spell it literally as in a grieve, otherwise?
Yeah.
I like the slightly more waterfowl-friendly version that you sometimes come up with.
Congreve.
Yeah.
That was the best
That's it. Do
misspelling.
you know what? He showed me his PhD diploma, and the first thing I did was check the surname.
I have seen diplomas where they spell the department name
It's okay.
wrong.
Quans was printed at a 45-degree angle to the paper.
That's
No.
just depressing.
Oh my
He
god!
got it in the post as well. And
Oh
it was
my
just
God.
like, well,
Was there a little post-it note in there just to
No.
show that you would care?
no, because they don't.
Did he call?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
feel
assume
like you
so.
shoulda.
Oh my god, he definitely should have and been like, what the fuck is this? Holy crap.
Considering the rigmarole I just had to go through to make sure that I still have a job for a year.
Yeah, really.
Well, anyway, so echinoderms is kind of what we're going to talk about. We're actually going to be talking about a relatively new paper that's going to be that found a brand new animal that doesn't fit anywhere, but it kind of looks like an echinoderm.
Yeah, it kind of looks like an echinoderm. So we're
but
kinda...
it totally isn't.
No.
We were going to talk about echinoderms, but people vetoed the 67-page paper.
There was maybe
I might have vetoed it and got Amanda to email out so that I didn't veto my own paper.
Yes. That may have been how it went.
So,
when we were both sitting there talking
You also,
about
by the way,
podcasts.
totally just emailed me.
Oh, did I? Oh, shit, I'm sorry.
So in a general sense, what would the conversation of the 62-page paper have been like for all the audience?
Stem lineages are interesting.
Stem lineages are interesting, and we would have talked a lot about trees and phylogenies of echinoderms.
And then you would have had me sitting there going, okay.
The reason I had this paper is because I was going to use it as one of the data sets for my PhD thesis before I realized that trying to do more than 3 data sets is crazy.
I agree with this statement.
So instead, we're going to be talking about a really cool problematica that came out of Burgess Shale type preservation.
From the Burgess Shale.
From the Burgess
It's not from the original Walcott site, but it is from the Burgess Shale.
Yeah, it's in Yoho.
Yeah. And then we'll talk. We'll also talk some about echinoderms.
Yeah, I think we should just talk a little bit, I guess, about what.
If YOLO is you only live once, what is Yoho? You only hawk once.
You only
hurl once.
That's a sign of a good disease.
Hawk
that you
and
only
hurl to me are
once.
synonyms. I don't know if hawk translates.
I guess it does. Yeah.
You only hork once.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
It
works.
fits. It fits with the single syllable too.
Yeah.
Or
You only hoe once.
you only hump once.
You only hump once.
pretty
That's an arthropod's life. You only
Yes.
hump once.
Not all arthropods.
Many.
A lot.
Not the good ones.
Not the good ones.
Clisrates, nope.
That's true. Well,
Certain
depends on the chelicerae because some spiders.
Male spiders cut off their own arms to get away. Some of them do.
Some of them do. Some of them just get eaten though.
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends if that's a natural thing or if they're just stressed
That's
from
true.
being observed.
You've been discussing that, some sort of paper about the fact that
Actually, something I saw in a webcomic, but I assume it's true.
it was a webcomic, but you assume it's true.
That apparently it's potentially possible that praying mantises, females, only eat the males during copulation because they're stressed from being observed by people.
Huh.
Aw.
That's interesting.
And so, because of course it's a very stressful period of their life, like experience in their life, they want to stop the experience, and the only way they can do it is to kill the male.
Wait, why can't no one's ever videotaped it or anything?
I don't think
without
anybody
people
has.
around?
I don't think anybody has, but maybe they can do that and test it out.
Well, here's the thing: you're going to have to find one, set up a videotape, and have it
And then
stay
just
there.
hope that it
Yeah.
decides to have sex there.
Yeah.
That seems like a really sad thing to do for about a year.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh
people
man,
do
the
that kind
bugs
of
didn't
stuff.
mate here.
People do that kind of stuff, right? That's like,
They do.
yeah,
They do.
I just imagine it'd be really hard to get NSF funding for it.
Especially because once you've got a video camera there, they're technically actors.
So suddenly they have to get involved in the Screen Actors Guild.
get a,
And, you know,
a trailer with their.
They have the contracts.
yeah.
My God, can you imagine getting a praying mantis to sign a contract? That pen would be ridiculous.
Just dip it in ink and let it scribble.
That's true. Just dip the little tip in ink. Oh man, it's really a pity that we don't have cameras. You acting that out was maybe one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
I did see one on one of the buildings of my apartment complex today that was this big.
About what, 2 inches? 3 inches?
No, that's like
That's
4 to 5.
6 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was huge. It was an enormous praying
I
mantis.
just figured numbers as opposed to showing me
Yes.
how large it was.
It's a big female.
Don't make me have to think. I'm not even sure that was a sentence that just came out of my mouth.
Don't make me have to think.
I think that's a sentence.
That was a sentence.
Yeah.
That is totally a sentence.
Yeah, that counts.
I texted Amanda the other day. I think I word too much when talking about our applications, and she knew what I meant and replied me too.
Yeah.
You also accidentally typed, "You are busty and awesome."
Are you sure that wasn't
Accidentally
accident?
That was
Yeah.
that was totally not accidental.
No, it actually was, because he meant to say busy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know.
At least I assume he
So-
meant to say
Freud
busy.
works in
Meant to
strange
say.
ways.
Did you just say Foley works?
No, Freud.
Foley works in mysterious ways.
thought he said
I feel like we have a
Foley.
Freudian moment right now, and I just don't know what it means. You Freudianly slipped Foley.
Foley.
Yeah, as in like sound effects.
Yes. The fuck?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Do you know the sound effect for a guillotine is to scrape a knife along a metal surface, then cut a cabbage in half with it?
Yeah, sounds about right.
That's interesting.
I saw it on QI.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's actually quite interesting.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was maybe just a touch interesting.
Weird, but interesting. Yeah.
Have you watched QI?
I think once.
Okay. Do
I don't
you know
remember.
what it stands for, right?
Oh.
No.
It stands for quite interesting.
Yeah.
You'll probably like it. It's got Stephen Fry hosts it.
I love Stephen Fry so
It's
much.
good when Jeremy Clarkson's on it as well. Because
Yes.
it's a bunch of comedians trying to answer questions.
Is that on Netflix?
I don't know, but I have a lot of them downloaded. I think.
I don't think so.
Legally
There
placed on my computer.
there are billions of them on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
My quality's better. I can hook you up.
Yeah, he can get you with the raw stuff, like the real uncut stuff.
Just, people need a reason to need me. So if they don't know they can get it somewhere else, then
Amanda, you might need to readjust your mic after all this. So echinoderms are really cool, right?
Right.
Wait, but I mean, aren't a lot of Burgess Shale organisms like not fit? They don't fit into our phylum,
only
like
if you're
Ventabiotes,
Stephen
right?
Jay Gould.
Well, this is an interesting discussion to get into. Is so this specimen that that we're going to be talking about, I guess they refer to it what as the tulip, and it is a weird stalked creature that kind of and
I'm
on a
gonna
very
murder those fucking cicadas.
on a very superficial level looks a
It's
little
not
bit.
even hot. This is
Don't
why
tell
you.
him that. That'll make him more angry.
This is why you need to sit next to me. I'm not calm.
Not
No, you don't have to move. Don't move. Don't move. Don't move. Don't move. Then you make me feel guilty. You were saying about tulips.
tulips. They're flowers. They grow in the ground.
We've got one
they
of
have
these
bulbs.
words.
Tulips.
Yes, it is.
The julips.
No, the tulip. It's a tulip. Look, just because I order Mountain Dew doesn't mean.
Wait, how are you saying any different from Curtis?
Do you know, Amanda? Do you know what I have to do every time I pay my taxes? I'm paying my dues.
Oh God, you killed her.
It's a good thing she's already red from sunburn because she'd be going super red right now.
Oh my God, she's convulsing, horrified.
This is literally the only reason I exist is trying to get her to do this once a day.
Oh my God, I don't know if we can continue. We need. Okay. You can breathe. Okay, I'm glad. So yeah, it kind of looks like an animalish flower. It's stalked. It's got a holdfast where it holds onto the ground, and in some ways, in very passing ways, it looks similar to either like a crinoid or a cystoid or a blastoid. And so that's kind of how we were going to work in echinoids.
Yeah.
Because
But-
James totally sent out the paper, having not read it in a year, and thought that looks like an echinoid. Send.
No, it's okay. It's
and
better
maybe
this
the
way.
discussion was more talking about how maybe it's quasi-related to a cnidarian.
They think it might be a ctenophore, or it might even be a tunicate, which
Tunicate.
is another one of those fucking words.
Yes.
Yeah, that was something I couldn't get the one figure to load because my internet is kind of shitty.
Yeah, you're coming over to mine when we have to podcast.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a really
am.
smart thing to do.
Yeah. And so like it's like here are some pictures of some other stalked organisms and they're like some tunicates and I'm like tunicates are stalked the fuck.
Oh, the adult phases, the larval phase isn't. That's how vertebrates or chordates might have
Right,
evolved.
no, I know that, but I didn't think that you counted that as a stalk because I've only ever
Totally.
seen them reconstructed sponge-like, where they've just got a massive
Oh,
holdfast.
no, some of them. Well, yeah, exactly. But that's a really thick holdfast. The primitive forms have a much thinner one.
Ah, okay, I didn't know that.
They also look very Geiger-esque. So, I mean, they had the penis monster as one of the figures.
I missed that.
Yeah, I can show you it when we get home.
Paul
Okay.
looks thoroughly confused. What do you want to
Wait,
say?
no, but I thought tunicates are like just little like tubes with holes.
Yeah.
The
But
majority.
is that the larva or is that
No,
the
that's
no,
the
no.
adult. The larva actually looks like a lancelet. It looks like a very, very, very primitive fish-like thing.
Yeah, like a
without
very
It
primitive
actually
chordate.
attaches, I think, by its mouth to a surface, cements itself, and then digests its own organs in order to form the adult.
And sort of turns it
It
sort of
verses itself.
Yeah, it sort of like jellifies and reverses itself so that the mouth literally migrates from the bottom up to the top. It's an extremely bizarre process.
So it really is somewhat Geiger-esque.
It really is, yeah.
But how is it stocked then? It's like a sponge isn't stocked. It's
Right.
like the
No,
same
so
thing.
But
primitive
sponge attaches from multiple points.
Yeah.
So the point, I guess, of this is that they start out mobile. They're swimming around, happy as a clam or, I guess, a tunicate. And then when they decide they're going to, find their place where they're going to be an adult, they have a holdfast. And then they just stay there. They become sessile. They don't move. And some of them
Yeah.
are actually attached by a little sort of stalk-like thing. So they can sit there and filter feed and, just be.
Yeah.
So this thing is really, really weird looking.
Yes,
It's
it is.
got a series of these like interstitial combs in it.
That look like the fronds. Well, first of all, they thought they compared them to the internal combs of ctenophore jellyfish.
Yeah. So the little stinging cells.
Yeah.
The nematocysts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they looked at them and said that morphologically they're not the same.
Are they? Am I wrong with the nematocysts?
No, you're right. You're
Okay.
right. Pneumatocyst, yeah.
but then the other thing they really look like is it really does look like a blastoid.
Yeah. And what is a blastoid, Paula?
Like sea buds. They're just like little pentameral things that
Okay.
just sit there.
Because
I don't know how to
because
describe
crinoids have arms with these fronds on them.
Yeah.
And if you fuse all the arms together, so it forms a kind of lobe. That's what
That's what the blastoid is.
look
Yeah.
like.
Now,
And
But
keep in mind that with what we get in the fossil record are usually the heads of the blastoid.
I say so. I guess
the body.
to back up
not
a
the
little
stalk.
bit, crinoids, blastoids, cystoids. These are all sort of these stalked
echinoderms.
echinoderms.
Yes.
We still have living crinoids today.
Yes, we do, and they're awesome.
And they
If
move
you-
around.
Yes,
Yes.
if you go
They
to if you type in crawling deep sea crinoid or something,
Paleontologica Electronica had one as its header for a while.
it comes up. It's actually a University of Michigan deep sea filming thing.
Well, it's probably Tomas Baumiller.
I think so. Yeah, and
'cause he's got a lot of that on his
They're
website.
looking
Yeah.
a lot at holdfasts for those critters.
and you actually see its arms pulling itself along the seafloor, and it's completely disturbing.
It's
But
awesome.
if you
They're
also-
so cool looking.
Remember
totally
in
awesome.
Arthropod class, and Wade was trying to Google swimming pycnogonids, and they found a ton of things like, wow, that's really weird. They were free-swimming crinoids.
Free swimming crinoids are different though, and they are really fucking weird.
Here's the thing, though. You can be both a free-swimming and a fixed crinoid, because you'll free-swim and then
settle down.
and then grow a stalk.
So yeah, your modern crinoids are often referred to as sea lilies, but they're still similar to things that we saw in the past, which is you've got sort of a base kind of root system, which are the little legs, and that's like a holdfast system, and then you've got a stalk, which is just pretty much the digestive tract runs through that, and it's protected by a series of platelets, which if you're ever like
Ossicles.
grabbing these little beads out of rocks, like go through the gravel and find these little beads. Those are actually platelets of ancient crinoids.
Yeah,
They
they're
look
little.
like Cheerios.
They
They
do.
look like little Cheerios.
Palaeo.
Yeah, we refer to them as in grade school we always called them Indian beads because we thought that was where you made jewelry. But
Okay.
So then at the very top there's like a head, a crown, or calyx, and then little tentacles that come out so they can kind of grab food and then move them into the mouth.
And I think one of the things, one of the reasons why I immediately associate these things with crinoids is because a lot of the morphology is so similar. They're using the same terminology. So they use the term calyx an awful lot for the mouth point at the base of the main body before the stalk.
Yeah, definitely.
The main difference between these things, there's a lot of other differences as well, but the main difference is these things are completely soft-bodied. They're squishy, they normally wouldn't be preserved, and crinoids, all echinoids, are heavily calcified.
Well, there's also more so, like, so getting to, the crinoids all have these tentacles coming off of them. Blastoids, they're more like as you said, buds. They're like a flower that hasn't opened yet, but they've got these grooves around them off of which these like little tentacles, these fleshy tentacles can come off of. And they still all have like little things sticking out of them to grab food.
Right.
And this thing, at least as far as they're reconstructing it, doesn't have any tentacles at all.
Well, as far as I can see, there's no actual evidence. Well, the reason that you see evidence for tube feet in blastoids and crinoids is that
You just happy the fact that we said tube feet?
Tube feet.
tube feet
Tube feet.
is
Tube feet.
the tube feet are part of what's called the water vascular system, which is a specialized system that only echinoderms have, and it's essentially it helps them move around and all these different things. And these tube feet are run
hydrostatic pressure.
yeah,
basically.
hydrostatic pressure.
They're pneumatics.
Yeah, but that's all internal. It's inside this calcified thing.
Yeah. Because what that is essentially, at least from my understanding, is the arms have fused.
Yes.
And that's why you get this big chamber.
Yes, and so with tube feet, they have to come out of little holes.
They everse.
Yes.
They everse.
They everse. They are pushed out and then they everse themselves and come out as tube feet, and that's why they're all squishy and.
And then they do what? okay, that's not going to play at all
That-
in an audio
that's
podcast.
amazing.
I can't do that. And
You can't wave your arms wildly like a what is those wavy tube men? That
Yes.
Those
At car
things, I didn't
dealerships.
realise they existed until about a year ago when I saw one.
Really?
You had never
Yeah.
seen one in the wild before?
No.
Oh man, yeah, no, they're real things.
Yeah, they're terrifying.
That's why we have guns. We're afraid of them.
Well, yeah.
that's why I need to watch more Sunny.
Yeah, that's true. Oh shit, we haven't. Have you seen that episode
No.
with going off in the boat so that you can make rash decisions based on fear?
No, I haven't.
All right,
It
we'll fix
sounds
that.
like a great idea.
We'll fix that.
I can't remember what I was talking about.
Tube
Rash
feet.
decisions based on fear.
Tube feet. And so when you have tube feet in echinoderms, you see.
Once again, having cartoons on in the background on my computer, totally a good idea.
Yes.
No bad idea on that at all.
None whatsoever.
This is one of the reasons why I sit there a lot.
So the way you can tell that if it has tube feet or not is that it will have holes in these ossicles, and we don't see any evidence of that. Of course, this thing doesn't have ossicles.
No,
which
because
is
it's all
another thing.
soft-bodied.
Yeah.
It does, however, have a couple of, they're not sphincters, they're sphunctuals or something like that. They've got 6 things that meant that you had water flow. It gets
Oh,
sucked in-
siphuncles.
Siphuncles, that's it.
Siphuncles,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you can see siphuncles and even things like
Ammonites.
ammonites and
Ammonites,
ammonoids. It's whenever you've got these like gateways to whether or not you're going to allow
Hell.
water to come in.
Blastoids have them as well.
Gateways to hell.
Yeah, gateways to hell. A siphuncle is a gateway to hell.
If you're a 4-am or other small creature, it often is.
That's
So,
true.
so the guy who taught me invertebrate paleontology was a young British gentleman who was desperately in love with puns, and so
Like everyone.
So at one point he this is like we had for Halloween we got an extra point on our test if we all came in costume, and we had to guess his costume, and he was wearing a blue T-shirt, a rubber chicken which was wrapped around his neck with like an electrical socket. What the Brecken thing with the surge protector.
oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and he was chicken cordon bleu.
Oh my god.
So anyway, at one point we're going through the internal structures of your cephalopods, and he talks about the siphuncle, and
have
there's
to
another
do that
organelle
now.
called the garment, and when siphuncle and garment are working together, they're in perfect harmony.
My god.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
So this thing would have
It was
fed...
amazing, and I still remember it to this day. So congratulations.
There are things I remember
You
to this
get
day
it.
that I
No,
should
no.
remember.
Point.
You don't understand. Now I have to do that chicken cordon bleu thing.
It's alright, you have lots of chickens.
Yeah, you have chickens.
That's true. I do have chickens.
Wait, are you going to be going to your GSA talk with chicken cordon bleu?
Don't tempt me, but I don't actually have a blue.
Do
Do I have a blue shirt?
you? You're wearing
Yeah, I
one
was
right
just gonna
now.
say-
No, I mean a blouse.
Okay, a nice shirt. Okay.
I have to look nice for my GSA talk.
Amanda, have you ever been to GSA?
No.
No, you don't.
But I should.
No, you shouldn't.
I
Yeah,
mean,
you should.
It's kind of
No.
a 50-50.
I'm gonna at least look.
Here's the
I'm
thing,
not
if
gonna
you
wear a
tried it-
fucking suit.
If
Okay.
you try to look good, people are going to assume that you're trying to distract people from what is probably shitty science.
That's kind of the truth, isn't it?
No, your science is awesome. It's the best
It's
science.
chickens running in sand.
I love it. It's great.
That's amazing.
It is-
Chickens running in sand sounds great.
It kind of
If you
is.
need- if
And you
need-
get to work in a picture of a
If
chicken
you-
with a
if-
sombrero.
If you need a base comparison, I could run through sand, and you could have a gif of me running through sand dressed as a chicken. I don't have to be dressed as a chicken. I should shut up.
Oh my god, if only we'd had Dad get that chicken costume for Mr. Man, we could have Mr. Man run through the sand dressed as a chicken.
He
Paula,
could do it
Paula, do
dressed
you
as a
feel
cake.
weird in between the two of them?
A little. It's a little uncomfortable.
Taco. What do we eat for dinner?
It begins.
I told you that doesn't bother me anymore.
I know, but it makes Amanda laugh.
So this thing has siphusauctums.
Yeah. So they think it fed by sucking water in through the top and expelling it through the bottom of the main chamber, and the chamber inside, it just passed the water through these combs,
So-
which would have
oh, okay.
filter-feeded small particles out of it.
So they're saying the combs are an internal structure?
Yes.
Yes.
Which is why it does really remind me like an unsclerotized blastoid.
But blastoid.
I mean, they still have
they're
tentacles in
external.
a mouth.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah.
They have
but no,
external.
but the entire thing inside is hollow and it passes things in.
You fuck.
You okay?
Fuck. Shit. I'm okay.
You okay?
Do you need some?
At the concert last night, I slammed my left knee into a water bottle,
Okay.
and I'll show you guys the bruise. I thought I'd cracked my kneecap at first. It hurt.
That's
lot.
terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, but at your age, you probably don't have kneecaps anymore. None of us do.
Hooray.
So I'll show you guys the guys the bruise at the break. It's ugly. I came home and I had a bump on my knee that was about a half an
Did
inch.
you put ice on it?
No, I keep forgetting. I have ice. I need to ice it.
You can get ice now.
Yeah, we can easily get ice.
Okay.
Then you can roll your leg up.
I'll say, speaking of which, do you want to take a quick break and then discuss like what they think about with
How
life
long
habits?
How
and
long has
things?
it been? Because bear in mind we've got a lot of shit that we're going to have to cut from the start.
About 30 minutes.
We should probably talk a bit more because I don't know what we're going to do. Really.
So,
Well,
my argument is the tube feet, the comb-like structures on blastoids,
Yeah.
those are external.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
but if it's an unsclerotized blastoid, how can it be internal?
Well, here's the thing. It doesn't look like it bears a lot of weird similarities to a lot of different things. But
Yeah,
it's
that's
it's
yeah.
placed in the Problematica because no one
knows
really knows
what it is. Yeah.
yeah.
But that's like typical of Burgess Shale stuff, isn't
No,
it? It
no,
looks
not
like
really.
something
Well, I
else.
mean, this
Actually.
is actually, if you want, we can keep discussing this. Then after the end of the break, we can discuss that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
a good idea. Yeah.
Okay, because then I can shout at you.
At me?
Yes,
Don't
for,
shout at me. I don't know anything about it.
for
I'm
believing
just-
lies. You're believing science's lies.
Well, I
Because
just
science is a liar sometimes.
that's.
It's okay, you're okay.
I'm not a paleontologist. I don't
What-
study these
what
things.
are
I just
you?
read one paper about ventibiota or
What
whatever.
are you?
I'm a geologist.
So a paleontologist, what are you?
Said strat, right?
Yeah, I'm carbonates.
Yeah.
Okay.
Diagenesis, substrat, yeah.
Okay, now the people
Not
know.
paleontologist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
What was this witch hunt for?
I don't remember.
There's no
but
reason. Comedy.
Comedy? Wow, we're aiming low.
yeah.
We need to see if she weighs as much as a duck.
Right, of course. References, that's even lower. Good job.
You can allow me to bring everything down.
Do you want more beer?
No,
Okay.
it's okay. It's very good beer, though.
It is good beer.
Yep.
Okay, so I just wanted to establish the fact that blastoid parts are on the outside.
Yeah,
And
the
that I
blastoid
wasn't-
parts are on the
and that I
outside,
wasn't-
and
Oh, God.
yeah.
And
I
you know
think-
it
I
learns
think I
water
broke
cannon at level 60.
Oh God. Oh man, it really is sad that there's no cystoid Pokemon.
But there's Blastoise. That sounds a lot like Blastoid.
It is.
That's true. Anyway, sorry guys.
It's okay.
This is only the second time we've ever used Burgess Shale fossils to go to Pokemon.
That's true.
Do you know, in my head, I have this thought of like every animal I described, I then can call out to fight, and so that's why I like describing big predators, because they're more likely to beat other researchers' animals in a fight.
Okay.
That would be the most amazing way to get papers published.
Yeah, I'd be fucked though, because there'd be some arsehole that just works on mammoths and tigers.
You know, they're big, but they're slow.
They're also, I have to be aquatic, so I have to pick the terrain.
You could research megalodon.
Yeah, but here's the thing. He's going to be all aquatic, so they're all going to be water type. If they have mastodon, it's obviously like a grass type.
Well,
Yeah,
grass and
but
ice.
megalodons,
Yeah.
that would like kill everything.
But what is megalodon? Is it a species or a genus? Are you talking about the species
I'm talking about the giant fuck-all shark.
Yeah, the giant fuck-all shark
The
indeed.
giant fuck-all shark. So that's Carcharias megalodon.
Okay.
Because megalodon is a giant clam.
Either
oh my
way,
God.
okay.
This totally reminds me of the man-killing giant clam near Mackinac City, Michigan.
What?
Did it just bite down on people when they...
No, I think it fell on somebody when they moved it off the truck.
Oh, okay.
Because it's man-killing, it's
Okay.
not man-eating.
Okay.
Giant clams have killed divers because divers have gone to
Poke
like
'em.
touch it and it's just closed on their arm and
Yeah.
they've run out of air.
Yeah. No, there's this place that's just a little bit south of Mackinac City called Seashell City, and they always advertise a man-killing giant clam, and we all just decided that it just fell off the truck and crushed somebody
course.
when they were moving it.
See, I played enough games on the NES to realize that you're not supposed to touch a giant clam.
Yep.
Yeah.
No matter how amazing that gold coin in the center of it is,
Gold
you don't
coin or
go
that-
for
that,
it.
That delicious pearl.
That one up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you avoid that.
Yep. Not worth it.
So I guess this animal.
They said they compared a bit to Cnidaria. They compared
Yeah.
it to lots of tunicates. They mentioned crinoids briefly,
Yeah.
and a bunch of other. There's some weird kind of not quite tunicates, not quite echinoderms, like on the line sort of things that they
Yeah.
mentioned. What ecto something and endo.
yeah.
Ectoterms and endoterms or something.
That
like
might be it.
But I mean, and
Which are things I had never
I'd never
heard
heard
of
of,
before.
I
yeah.
mean, one of the
I
things
had to
is that
Google
it's
those.
got there are two layers of it's got two layers of major cell walls.
Yes.
Which
Yeah,
is, which
it
is
has a gut. It's a triple blastic.
Yeah.
So it's obviously not an Idarian.
yeah.
And then they do have a really interesting line where they say that this would put it into the bilateria, as in that's one of the things that that qualifies for not being a Cnidarian or a sponge.
Yeah.
But Cnidarian, by the way, jellyfish, corals, and things like that. Just throwing that out. Good pull on the coral. Sea anemones
Anemones.
And fire corals. And hydrozoans.
and hydrozoans.
Oh.
Anyway,
Medusoids.
The Medusoids are amazing.
They're so
regardless, those are all your Cnidarians are diploblastic. They have two layers of cells, an interior and an exterior. Whereas we and a lot of other animals, most other animals are triploblastic.
Yep. So we have the three tissue layers.
We've got a mesoderm.
Mesoderm.
And this thing seems to have a mesoderm.
That's vaguely suggestive.
Mesoderm.
Just what means, yeah.
Oh my
that
God.
to me.
Yeah, it's the eyebrow thing. Yeah,
It totally is.
I feel like she wants to do something, but
I think she wants
I
to steal
feel
my
unclean.
mesoderm.
Yeah, I kind of feel like.
I feel between them.
Oh my God.
It's a polar sandwich.
No.
We're the bread. It's okay.
That's not okay.
Yeah, that does not make it any better.
That's not okay at all.
I don't like where this conversation
I have not
is
taken
going.
that thing yet.
You have not taken the sexual harassment
Yeah, and I've
course.
also
Shit, neither have I. You've never taken it.
Yeah.
We're all sexual predators.
Yay.
Woohoo.
Oh God, I have a title for the podcast.
Sexual predators. No. Listen, Mr. Ibanks kids in restaurants. Which I need to get in there to make it even
I know,
for
I know.
everyone. Even though that's the only bit that's going to get cut.
You assume I edit unfairly, sir.
No, I assume you edit at all. You don't even have to take the thing, which is kind of annoying.
Because I'm not employed by the University of Kansas.
You're just roaming the hallways with no jurisdiction whatsoever.
Yes. It's about right. But not for long. James got a weirdly sinister laugh and then choked on his own sinister laugh.
What were we talking about?
The animal,
Right, the
the
thing.
creature.
Yes.
Creature.
Um,
The mesoderm.
Ow.
Okay,
Stop-
she
she's
just hurt her
hurting
knee
herself.
because of me.
No, it's
Um,
fine.
there was something. I had something. I swear.
We were talking about the fact that it's related to a bunch of different things.
Yeah,
It's
I mean-
obviously not a radiolarian.
It could
or
fit in. Yeah.
radiolarian.
Oh, that's one
It's not
thing.
a
Because they
radiolarian.
also sort of say, could this be a very highly derived?
Yes, that was another thing they went to is like maybe this is actually on the line to bilaterian.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
maybe this is actually
Super
like something
highly
that had
derived
something that was
Tunicate
closely
thing.
related to an idarian but
Yeah.
has triploblasty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean that to me it fits as being on the stem of something,
Yeah.
which is a term we'll I guess get into after the break.
Yeah.
The other thing they throw out there is could it be? I've just blanked on the sodding word. Begins with E. Ediacaran. Could it be?
Oh,
could
yeah,
it- could
yeah,
it be
yeah,
a
yeah,
really
yeah,
weird
yeah.
Ediacaran?
They do like a dino. What is the dino something? I can never.
No, not dino.
I can never
no,
remember
no,
any
no,
of the names for the Ediacaran. But
It's,
yeah,
it's the spirally one, right?
these are all these Vendian faunas. As Paula was talking about the one paper that she ever read about paleontology.
No,
no.
it's about the Burgess Shale.
But the Vendian fauna is not about the Burgess Shale.
Oh.
Sorry.
It's about pre-Burgess stuff.
It's about pre-Burgess stuff. It's these early stuff that Dolph Silacker had suggested were basically almost entirely hydrostatic. Like,
Yeah.
what they are is so completely unknown that it's possible they could be anything.
They grow like crystals. It's kind of creepy.
Some have even suggested they might have been a failed experiment at multicellularity.
Yeah.
Like that they might not have given rise to anything else.
They
Yeah.
just showed up and went nowhere, essentially.
Yeah, potentially. But I mean, there's an entire discussion. to be
Yeah,
had
that's
on
a
those.
whole
So-
separate.
but they
block.
decided that this was too complex with its internal structure to be any kind of Ediacaran related thing.
Yeah, we don't have any evidence of any sort of tissue layering
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Ediacaran
Yeah.
fauna. And I mean, yeah, granted, the Ediacaran stuff is so freaking old.
They're basically trace fossils. That's
Yeah.
all we ever get out of
Yeah.
them. And they're badly decomposed, a lot of them.
We've got stuff coming out of what are the metamorphosed sandstones? I better remember this. We're doing a metamorphics lab in 2 weeks.
Green schists,
Not green schists.
Green.
fuck.
marbles,
No, not that's limestone. It's the sandstones.
Okay.
glass.
Huh?
I just.
Fuck.
It's a type of
does
metamorphic
it-
rock.
does
or
it
it's a
matter?
locality.
No, it's a metamorphic rock where you metamorphose sandstone.
Urco? No, it doesn't matter.
Quartz, isn't it?
Quartzite.
Yeah, I
Quartzite.
was gonna say.
Quartz-
Yeah,
Quartzites, okay.
we get these things out of literally stuff that's been metamorphosed, lightly metamorphosed.
I thought you were talking
quartzites.
about specific beds.
Yeah,
No.
that's what I thought.
They're. I mean, you find them in Australia. You find them in that fucking province in Canada, Newfoundland.
Yeah, Newfoundland. It's mistaken point.
To all
Yes.
to all people in Newfoundland, we
I
do not
fucking
refer
love-
to you as that fucking prop.
I love Newfoundland. Don't get me wrong.
Only Amanda
They
refers
have
to you as
killer whales.
They do, and icebergs, which is amazing.
Killer whales on icebergs.
killer whales. Killers on
I have a friend who did her
ice.
master's in Newfoundland, and I kind of hated her for it
And
because
they have dogs.
I had to fucking.
And they have
fucking hate her.
dogs. Yes,
We saw so
they're
many
Newfie
huskies.
dogs.
Yes, giant, awesome.
And they
dogs.
have the greatest of all the Canadian accents.
Yes, they do.
What, the one where they shut up? Okay.
That was a bit vitriolic today.
I don't like people that people think have better accents than I do.
But all accents are equally awesome. Does that make you feel better?
I said
Except
they
for
have
a
the
southern.
greatest Canadian accent.
Okay.
Canadian accent's pretty cool. And I don't just say that because I sound like one sometimes.
You sound very Michigan.
Northern Michigan, yeah.
I mean, you statistically proved that, right?
What about me?
You sound like
Yeah.
you're from
Say,
Wisconsin.
say,
Yeah.
Say
say,
spoon.
say spoon, say boot.
Spoon.
Spoon.
Why you laugh every time they say spoon? I
Because
don't
they
get
actually
it.
pronounce the second O. Not just like as an oo sound, but you can hear like one O and then the other.
Okay.
Spoon. Spoon.
Yeah, I hear it.
You do? I
Yeah.
don't.
I don't. Yeah.
Spoon.
Like
No,
a
you say it.
spoon.
You
Spoon.
Spoon.
You say it really short,
Yeah.
I guess.
I guess.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Yay for Northerners.
The
Spoon.
best.
Speaking of accents, anybody want to pop?
So,
No.
Fuck off.
It is
I'll
pop.
take a drink from a
Hell
bubbler.
yeah.
Yeah, it's pop.
You'll take a drink from a what?
Though. A bubbler?
Oh my god.
It is pop.
No.
Yeah.
They're fizzy drinks.
A soda.
It's not soda.
It's fizzy
hot.
drinks. I'm not saying it's soda. That's equally wrong.
That was
As long as it's not a Coke. All
yes.
right? I think
okay.
we can all agree
we
on
can
that.
all agree that Coke is wrong.
Yes.
So is this like just we're just not agreeing with Texas at this
Yes.
point?
Pretty much. Yes.
Yes, there was something.
Oh, we were talking about how this thing might be
We're talking about animals
a
and things.
stem lineage to something, and
Yeah.
it might be a
Yeah, it might be
thing-
a really interesting example of something radiolateral symmetry that has derived characteristics that we didn't see before. So
other-
it actually put triploblasty as being before bilateral symmetry.
The
Which would
other
be
thing
interesting.
that's very interesting is that it's bloody big.
It is big.
It's like 20
big?
centimeters long.
Yeah,
Which
that's
is big for anything
Yeah.
that's like tunicate or early bilaterian
Well,
at
I mean,
all.
it's actually,
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Early echinoids are only a couple of centimeters.
and generally speaking, most of the Burgess Shale stuff isn't that big except for Anomalocaris.
Yeah, most of them.
Yeah,
are quite
well,
small.
the anomalocast, I mean, things like Sydnea emeraldella will be 10 to 12 centimeters, which for an arthropod is pretty good.
Yeah.
But, yeah, anomalocaris is, I think, 2 to 3 feet on average.
somewhere like that. Yeah,
Yeah. Or anomalocaris. Because apparently it's meant to be.
hate that pronunciation.
Yeah. Anomalocaris.
Anomalocaris, anomalocaris.
Yes.
Anomalocaris.
Yes. So you can just say taco, and it just causes her to cackle.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is,
pretty much.
the funny thing about this is just going to explain the ending of last week's podcast.
Is it?
He
Yeah.
ended it with us going together.
And once again, she's completely passed out. So, have we talked enough about the animal?
I think we've given a good view that we don't really know what it is.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, that sounds good.
You got me on the correct side.
Yeah,
She
what?
hit me in the knee,
Oh,
but she
okay.
hit me on the side where the bruise isn't, so it's okay.
Well, do you want to take a quick break and come back about the Burgess Shale and whether or not it's as weird as we think it is?
Sure.
All right, cool.
Me?
And we're back.
All right.
That was good.
2 feet. Woo.
2
2
feet.
Feet.
James is practicing his pronunciation.
Tube.
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 Tube feet.
Tube feet. You might play the tuba while talking about tube feet
Yes.
on the tube, which is
Oh.
the London Underground.
Yeah, this is very true.
Or television.
Yeah.
Yes.
Watching the tube.
Yep.
Yeah.
We just tend to call it the TV.
Yeah.
Telly.
It used to be called the tube back when there were vacuum tube TVs. I think I used to have the last vacuum tube TV manufactured in
Does it
existence.
mean vacuum or cathode ray?
Vacuum.
Vacuum tubes.
Yeah. The kind that would fucking explode on occasion.
Cathode ray can do that.
Can't really?
Yeah, if you treat it badly enough.
Oh, shit.
I mean, anything can explode if you treat it badly enough. Isn't that what GTA taught us?
That's
New
how I
one's
learned,
out.
That's how I learned to drive in America.
Yeah. Funny enough, made by a British guy.
Yep, you drive on the right on the sidewalk because the Americans can't drive.
Yeah, which is so weird. You know, they did a GTA London for expansion pack for GTA 1, but Dan Houser has repeatedly come out and say he's never going to do a GTA London ever again.
Yeah.
Aw.
The original GTA was a good top-down game, and they had split-screen multiplayer, which is awesome.
What was the original GTA for? A PS1?
Yeah, PS1, maybe PC.
I think we were running it. We're running it, and a friend and I were running it in Cornwall on an emulator. It was a good laugh.
So, Burgess Shale
Burgess Shale.
and, like, weird stuff, right?
Yes.
So, Paula, before the break, you had been talking about how isn't it common in the Burgess Shale that all things are really weird and you can't figure out where to put them?
No, like I thought it was that they always look similar to organisms that evolved later, but that they're not actually related.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, one of the things that, so if we go back into, I guess, the evolution of the study of the Burgess Shale, We start out with Walcott, who originally...
Who, by the way, had the most badass name ever. Charles Doolittle Walcott.
Why is that a badass name? He just
she
sounds lazy.
She just really likes Doolittle.
It's just a fabulous name.
Okay.
It's a great name.
By the way, good pun. He does very little. Yeah.
Yeah, he only ever did the Burgess Shale, didn't he?
He did No. There's Walcott's Ross Quarry where he picked up a bunch of specimens in New York.
Big stratigrapher as well.
Yeah, that's right.
That's why he found the camera and stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he was...
Walcott believed everything was pretty much a crustacean.
Yeah, he linked everything just as far as... He tried to put everything into
It was an annelid worm or a crustacean or a chelicerate or, whatever.
And I mean, at the time period, he was dealing with stuff where he wasn't, doing any more modern methods to actually try and piece apart what these organisms were.
Well, it was the 1800s?
No, it was early 1900s,
Early
late
1901,
1800s.
1902,
Practically the fucking 1800s.
1911 was when Leon Coelho was described, stuff like that.
Yeah. So they sat in museums for, 50 60 years before Whittington, Briggs, Simon Conway Morris, and...
What's his face?
I cannot remember the third. The
fourth.
Whittington, Briggs, Simon Conway
Morris, and...
Wasn't there another?
There was.
Fuck me.
David Bruton.
Oh yeah, David Bruton did some work on that.
Did Sydney,
Yeah,
and Leon Coelho and Emeraldella.
Fuck.
All of which Martin has now redone.
Man, I feel really terrible. Shout outs to David Bruton. Chances are you're probably not listening to this,
I
but
hope
you
not.
rock, dude.
But it was another guy who worked with Briggs. Maybe that was Simon Conway Morris.
Anyway, all this stuff got redescribed. They used more... They systematically kind of pieced through the fossils and managed to pull out layers on the fossils showing that they weren't just completely two-dimensionally flattened, and were able to reconstruct three-dimensional internal structures for all these things.
Yeah, they dissected through the top layer often to show the limbs beneath.
Mm-hmm.
And often there they'd find that these things were far more complicated and weirder than Walcott had ever originally thought they were.
And you've got Simonetto and Delacavi who are doing similar things at the same time, but coming at it from a very different point of view.
And from here we get, the redescriptions of things like Anomalocaris, which is, named for strange shrimp because its mouthpiece was originally believed to be a shrimp.
The
appendage was originally thought to be a shrimp.
Yeah.
And the mouth was a completely different animal, which looked like a pineapple ring.
Yeah, the thought it was a Nidarian or something.
Yeah. And when
And
they
the
reconstructed
body
the
was a
full
banana.
animal and realized it was all part of one thing, it got the name Anomalocaris because it was the first one that was named.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hallucinogenia.
Hallucinogenia is another good example. It basically looks like a hallucination.
Yeah, spiny and
Didn't know which way
wiggly
round, and didn't know which
they
end was
like
the
had to
front
flip
and
it.
which hump was upside down for a
Yep.
long time.
And then there's Wawaxia, which I still swear looks like the little spiny kind of shelled thing. I swear it looks like those little spiny creatures in Metroid that are always running along the walls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a pine cone.
Or a pine cone. That's a very spiny pine cone.
For any of our listener who doesn't listen to or play
Metroid. Yeah, pine cones for the non-Metroid people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not the brown kind, the green, hard kind that you throw at people.
The
You'd
green
know
hard
that-
Metroid kind? What?
No, the
pine cones.
Pine cones.
Amanda's the horriblest person. She picks the ones that hurt to throw at people.
Nobody wanted to play with me on the playground in elementary school.
I'd have played with you. You'd have probably thrown fucking pine cones at me.
No.
So
I
anyway,
threw rocks at people.
all these weird-looking
Boys are
animals,
dumb, throw
these
rocks
cool
at them.
things that get described. So Stephen Jay Gould writes the book Wonderful Life about this process
While it's ongoing.
while it's ongoing, and kind of comes to the conclusion that, man, maybe everything is super weird and can't fit into anywhere else, and that there was this massive diversification of form well beforehand, and it was mostly a failure. Like, there were all these various different startups that didn't go anywhere, and it's just the few things that winnowed away and came out.
And he hammered Walcott for doing what he considered to be shoehorning, trying to find something that looked most like the thing that he was looking at and deciding it had to be that thing.
It's a really weird thing to do in a lot of ways, because if you look through Gould's histories, he will often bend over backwards to try and give even the most horrible of people a fair shake, but he literally character assassinates Walcott. He just fucking hated that guy. and on a deeply personal level.
Wasn't Walcott dead before?
Yes.
Yeah, no, but he
Gould
just
was even born.
You read through the history of finding the Burgess Shale. I mean, the first things he does is talk about how easy it is to walk there and how little effort there actually was to get there.
I wish the people could see the face I'm making, because the Burgess Shale outcrop is literally on the side of a fucking mountain.
People pass out going up there because the oxygen's so low.
Yeah, I mean, literally, we're talking.
Gould either was flown up there or didn't go.
Yeah, it's a couple thousand meters up, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
He describes it as a leisurely stroll. It's very much written as a character assassination for Walcott, just of him being a complete and absolute prick.
Wow.
I think it's because he was mostly an administrator for the museum, and Gould hated administrators.
That explains a lot.
So that's the one. It's a weird instance when Gould will often bend over backwards to explain like horrible racism in certain people that he talks about in the past.
Yeah.
But this one person.
Wait! I need this explanation. I'm sorry.
As in, like you read some things like Mismeasure of Man or things like that, where he's talking about people in the past having certain opinions and different scientists having different ideas. It's like, but he was a product of his time and always sort of contextualizes that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But Walcott doesn't fucking do that. He just lays into him mercilessly. So yeah, he comes to this conclusion and makes this sort of thesis about the fact that the Cambrian explosion is a massive explosion of diversification
and experimentation.
Kind of, I guess, an extension of his Rise of the 400 hitter, the notion that early on, when there's not a lot of competition or not a lot of, when you can still be like experimenting into different things, you can be really good at this one thing, but shit at everything else. And that as a general pattern of systems, things become more streamlined and less chaotic.
It's kind of interesting that we do, to some extent, see that reflected in the Ediacaran fauna.
I think the Rise of the 400 hitter as a general system might be legitimate. I just think that he overplays his hand in the Wonderful Life.
Yeah, with regards to the Burgess.
He kind of gets on the right track when he kind of says that a lot of what we think of is heavily biased by the fact that we're used to what's around today.
Yeah.
And we look back in the past and we're gonna think that things are gonna be going a certain way. But he kind of takes it the wrong way in saying that everything had an equal chance, and you couldn't predict from back then what was going to happen. Whereas what he's actually doing is the exact opposite of that. He's going to the other extreme and saying, well, this is what we've got now, and this is also different, so there's no way this is any relative to what we're doing now.
I think the bigger issue is that in order to... his argument is interesting, and I still think sound in the notion that if you were back there at any time and you were looking at any animal, you wouldn't look to Pikaia and say that's going to be the thing that could potentially give rise to a billion different animals, so all the different animal species that would become vertebrates and would be on the land, and all the fish. But at the same time, in order to make his argument, he sort of goes so extremely, and it kind of devalues what is otherwise a really interesting argument by saying that all these things are so different that they are like completely different starts when they're not. A lot of these things, as we've been redescribing them, putting them into modern phylogenetic analyses, we can plot them out as stems on the line to other things. Not all of them. Some of them are completely fucked up.
Yeah.
And
which is to be expected.
I mean, the paper that we're talking about with the tulip, they expressly state that they, at this particular juncture, they don't have enough fossil material because they don't have, or that the fossil itself is lacking in any distinct morphological characters that would put it in any specific bracket. And as such, it's going to remain a problematica until they either get new material, or even if they get new material, it might always kind of just be problematic.
But it's also a degree of resolution. You can say something is an arthropod, and you could say something is probably an ancestor or a stem arthropod. But if you were to try to put it in any of the extant groups, you wouldn't be able to.
Right.
So you might say, oh, that's really weird. But it's not, because you know it's an arthropod or an arthropod-like thing.
Yeah.
So it depends on whether you really want to be able to very closely tie it to something that's around today, or if you can say this was part of this group, but it's a part of this. It's a lineage of this group that has gone extinct and not left any descendants.
That's a bit where, as I said, Gould overplayed his hand, because what he was stating was a lot of these things, like Anomalocaris and things like that, weren't arthropods; that they were entire like new attempts at life that just failed. And we can put there are a lot of characteristics that link Anomalocaris with arthropods.
Yeah.
And so we can say that it is some sort of arthropod, but it can be not something that fits into modern groups.
And the thing that really
Of
got
arthropods.
the thing that got a lot of the workers that are currently working on it is his characterizing their research and supporting this. And they were at that time trying to suggesting that these things were either stem chelicerates and stuff like that. So he was kind of mischaracterizing their ongoing work, partly because it's ongoing work and he could only deal with what had come out. And when they started off, they kept seeing things being really weird and different.
Yeah.
But then as they got more into it and refined their processes more and more, they began to think these things were more closely allied to things that we recognise today. The other thing is that if you think of life as if things that are alive today being success, that is also completely artificial. The only reason that now is important to us is because we're in it. All life eventually fails.
Well, that is Gould's central argument
Yeah.
of replaying the tape.
Yeah.
Like that is divorcing all the like experimentation and his interpretations of how the Burgess Shale is. The core argument of Wonderful Life is really just that it's not about being better or being the best at any given time. It's just about being the luckiest to survive.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the tenet for why he uses the title Wonderful Life, is that at any point in the past, if we look at what was successful and what was doing amazing at that time, it's usually not the things that, it's oftentimes not the things that would survive.
Yeah.
Trilobites did
Brachiopods.
exceptionally well for a long period of time.
Yeah, brachiopods were doing really great. And now there are
Brachiopods?
not very many of them.
Brachiopods are still doing okay.
They're okay, but I mean, think about the diversity in terms of the Paleozoic.
Think of the
and look at
diversity of the
today.
number of hominids.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
hominids are not doing that great.
No, we're really shitty.
Yeah.
We're down to like
One species.
one species, and
It-
that's pretty bad. I mean, the only other thing that I can think of that's been even moderately successful is the muskrat, and it's had one genus and one species for its entire lineage.
Until somebody decides to split the genera.
Well,
Because that's...
no. I mean one genus and one species
Oh, just one species right the entire time.
at any one time.
So
Yeah,
it's just,
okay.
it's consistently been monogeneric.
Yeah, consistently.
It's the same with, by and large, horseshoe crabs.
Yeah, that's true.
But the...
But the genus is a meaningless distinction, so...
yeah.
These are minor freaking details. The point is, it's been both monogeneric and monospecific.
So it just has speciated very slowly.
Yes.
But the other thing as well is to sort of say Pikaia gives
Add those
rise...
tooth loafs.
To suggest that Pikaia gives rise to all vertebrates is completely wrong as well.
Well,
Pikaia
yeah.
almost certainly did not give rise to anything.
No.
You know.
But it was
A representative
of
of a
a stem chordate. Yeah.
Which actually, it turns out, are very widespread and present in almost all Burgess Shale type localities.
Which
We
is
just didn't know it at the time.
And
is quite
here's the point where the chances of us actually finding the real stem lineage is really low. But we can always find representatives.
Well, okay, stem, you're thinking ancestry. You're confusing
Yeah.
the two.
Ancestry.
Finding a stem is fine. That happens a lot.
Yeah,
Finding a
that's true.
direct ancestor
That's right,
is
direct
slim to
ancestor.
none.
Yeah.
Most things we get will be what we term offshoots of the stem lineage.
Yes, offshoots of the stem lineage.
But I mean, they're still technically part of a stem clade.
Technically, but I mean, and again, this
I mean,
is...
they are in that they are not crown group.
Yeah, that's true.
But they will have apomorphies that would not be in the ancestor
Yeah.
of all of those things.
Yeah.
Yes, but then again, they'd be stem, but they wouldn't be ancestors.
Yeah.
That's the distinction I was trying to make.
Yeah.
I feel like we just got into a weird tangent on things that maybe we should define. Crown and stem.
Probably, yeah.
Crown means it's alive, that it's alive today. Everything that's alive today. So the first one in the group that's alive today, and then anything after that, even if it's gone extinct subsequently. So for elephants, there are 2 genus of elephant alive today. Mammoths fit in between those two. So a mammoth is a crown group elephant, even though it's extinct.
Question.
Yeah.
How does this work if you're talking about ornithischian dinosaurs?
What do you mean?
Oh. Well, wait, what do you mean?
Like if you're studying the evolution of things like ornithischian dinosaurs,
If it's extinct, technically there can be no stem lineage
No
because there's
stem
no
or
crown
crown.
group. If the entire thing's extinct, it's literally it's a concept that I think exists largely so that you know what you can or
But
cannot
you-
get genetic data from.
but you still see people discussing things like crown group of...
If they use the term incorrectly.
Okay.
I
I
mean,
just,
here-
I just
the-
wanted
the
to
f-
establish that
Yeah.
because
It's
you
understandable.
see it in the literature all the
Admittedly,
time.
going back to a little bit of our discussion on Gould, the notion that
Yeah.
something is alive is in and of itself a
Yeah.
personal bias that's kind of pointless.
I have referred to stem groups within the Euryptid lineage. Technically, that's incorrect because there was no crown group Eurypterida. All Eurypterids are extinct.
The issue with that is that
It's a
we need-
paraphyletic.
it's a
You can
paraphyletic
refer to it as
group, but we need-
paraphyletic
Paraphyletic
grade.
group.
but we need to be able to communicate.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Paraphyletic group.
So a monophyletic group, as we discussed a while ago when we
Long
were talking
time
about the
ago.
genus, is a group that contains the ancestor and all of its descendants.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then a
Sorry.
paraphyletic group.
It's an
No, it's okay.
oxymoron. We're talking about paraphyletic grades.
Yeah, paraphyletic
Yeah.
group doesn't really exist because it's not a group, but it contains the ancestor, but not all of the descendants.
Yeah.
So it grades into something else.
What's a stem? You never defined that.
Stem is a paraphyletic group,
Oh.
or it could be something that is just on the line to a crown.
Fossil members of. Yeah.
And a crown is just any group that is a monophyletic group that is living animals, that includes living animals at its base.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's kind of arbitrarily defined because we just decide that because they're alive, they're super important, which is
Yeah.
kind of dumb because it's not.
Yeah.
And again, like this again brings into the whole issue, like with trilobites, there are no more trilobites. How do you determine?
You just assign clades names. I do this. I don't always think it's the best idea, but I'll take like within Eurypterids, there's a group which is a very well defined group, and there's a series of characters that define it, and it's the group that includes the pterygotids, which are the big ones with the very long frontal claws, mixopterids, which have these large spiny appendages at the front. Yep, and your adelophthalmids, which are the only swimming ones that survive the Devonian. And I kept talking about the paraphyletic grade leading to this group, including da-da-da-da, and then I just decided that rather than do that every time I had to name it, so I called them diploperculate Eurypterids because they're ones that the operculum, which is where the gentle appendage is formed of only 2 segments instead of 3. And so I started talking about stem diploperculates. You know what I'm talking about, but I'm misusing the term stem.
But it seems to me like that shouldn't be a misuse because it's at a point where we need to be able to communicate the concept behind.
It's because
this.
the way crown was defined a long
Biologists
time ago.
Biologists define crown very specifically, and now it does have a kind of use in that if it's in the crown group, you know you can get molecular data from it.
Yeah.
That's just
Which to a lot of biologists would be the only way
The
you
only-
really
the
know
only way,
how they're
yeah.
related. Which I
can understand.
Disagree
I
with
can
it.
understand their reasoning behind it, but I still
Combined
think
information is always important.
that as paleontologists, especially when we're dealing with groups that are entirely extinct, we should be able to utilize these terms in order to communicate.
I agree with you. I think it's useful. The trouble is as well that a lot of paleontologists will use this term called plesion, which is any taxonomic group that is extinct.
Plesion?
I've
yeah.
never heard that term before.
Yeah. So basically, any fossil spider or a genus of fossil spider would be considered a plesion because it's extinct, and people tend to assume they're paraphyletic because they're fossils. It's not a good term. I don't like using it, but it became very popular during the 90s. But this was tied in. This was tied in to the
Actually, the
concept
90s
that
were
things
awesome.
in the past were
90s,
much
like
different.
every other decade sucked.
Sorry, James. Keep going. Sorry.
This was tied in as well to the concept that things in the past were very different to the things in the future. So by calling them plesions, you are suggesting that they were more different than you get today. Also, it's because biologists would say that you can't tell what a genus is or a species is without the genetic data. So a plesion was kind of like a form taxon in some way. Yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah.
That seems like completely weird.
Yeah.
I always say every single decade sucks.
Yeah.
Every time period has a reason why it sucks.
Yeah. The 90s were pretty awesome, though. Grunge.
Grunge was fun, but grunge came from a complete complete disaffectedness and loneliness.
So the thing is, most of the best music was in the 70s and 80s.
The 70s sucked because of Vietnam and
I
Nixon
did not
and-
have... It sucked for you. It's pretty good for England.
He has a point there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a point
And
there.
also, Nixon... It didn't suck because of Nixon. It sucked because Nixon was caught.
That's also true. The
a
80s...
gas shortage.
The 80s
and-
sucked because of Reagan.
the 80s, you had a whole bunch of you sold out all
Hey,
ideals to get rich quick.
By the way, I do hate to say it, but you can't blame the president. You can't.
Oh,
Blame
no.
It doesn't suck because of the figurehead that the idiot population voted in. It sucks because of the corporations and rich people that were telling him what
No,
to
it's
do.
the combination of Nixon's Watergate and the Vietnam War that had the complete disillusionment of politics in the
Yeah.
country.
You see, you just needed to have learned to give up because we did that in the 60s, and it's worked pretty well since.
Yeah.
So anyway, a lot of these animals now are capable of being placed into some sort of STEM relationship, so that they're
Yeah.
on the line towards something that we know of today.
Yeah.
They're generally, related to something that we recognize, even if only distantly so.
Right, so we can understand their relationship to more quote-unquote modern taxa.
But inevitably, there probably are a lot of little things here and there that just don't fit in anything, and maybe they just didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
But I mean, as I say,
They're still going to be based to something, because otherwise they just spontaneously created.
We know
Yeah.
trilobites and eurypterids went completely extinct, but we don't have this problem with them that we seem to have with a lot of Cambrian things. It's because there's this mythos of the Cambrian being the earliest point in time where you see complex forms of life
multicellular
that
life.
we assume it's got to be really weird.
And we know that isn't true because with the Ediacaran Vendian biota thing popping up, we start seeing that there was complex, quote unquote, relatively complex multicellular.
We have no idea how, again, as we discussed before,
Yeah,
we have no idea how complex
it was, but we know that
We
there
have trace
were
fossils suggesting things were way more complex than we realize.
Yes, and what's more, we have evidence for relatively large multicellular, so macro. The fuck is the word I'm looking for?
Macroscopic?
Yes, thank you. Macroscopic multicellular life in the Precambrian.
Yeah.
And we don't know how complicated it was. It could have been fairly complicated. We don't know. But the Cambrian is no longer the be-all, end-all of the appearance of...
Wasn't there a paper recently that came out talking about how the Cambrian explosion... There's been back and forth as to whether or not the Cambrian explosion was an explosion or if it wasn't.
There's a paper just came out in...
I remember we talked about it and I don't remember...
There's a paper just came out last week that says that early life in the Cambrian did undergo rapid evolution, but it was rapid in geological terms. Most of these forms appeared within 40 million years, which to a geologist seems very quick, but to a biologist it wouldn't seem weird to them at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But that is actually pretty quick. Yeah. To get at the scale that we're talking about with the
Well, I mean, most modern studies of evolutionary change suggest that evolutionary change happens rapidly within a few generations,
It's just whether
or
it
not at all.
sticks or not. Yeah.
Yeah, whether it
that's
sticks.
the thing.
So, I think most modern studies of evolutionary change have suggested that it's way faster than anyone had, the biologists had previously anticipated. And I think that's really coming back from like a Simpsonian approach of bradytelic and tachytelic lineages, which is just like slow evolving or fast evolving lineages. And he was looking at the fossil record as this like slow, gradual process that was just constantly changing. And that would require change over like millions and millions of years, which doesn't really make sense in modern biology because change happens quickly due to selective pressures, or you die.
It's just whether or not it sticks around.
I mean, he wasn't thinking. He thought of a lot of these things as being you are seeing, if not direct ancestor-descendant pairs, you are seeing very close offshoots of the ancestors.
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas these days we all know that while something might appear to evolve very slowly, it will then have an offshoot, and that will suddenly just evolve very rapidly. And it depends on the situation and the history of the group, and you can get odd things happen within a group that means this subset suddenly does something really weird.
Yeah, because I mean we're dealing with environmental stuff and
complex
compounding
interchange
factors.
between the ecology and the actual intrinsic biology.
Biology and all kinds of shit.
Yeah, I feel like we've completely all kinds of shit indeed.
I'm starting to get really tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I think we've talked about Burgess Shale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kinda, yeah.
A little bit.
Probably confused everyone.
I think we did.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's our goal, right?
Yeah, that's part of our job.
We're here to confuse, befuddle, and annoy, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or to provoke thought.
To provoke thought.
By confusing, befuddling, and
Yeah.
annoying.
Okay. Yeah.
I like that. Heck yeah.
So we're provoking the thought. Hey, thought. You think you're so special, huh?
That's okay. That is provoking.
That is provoking.
We're just sitting there and poking it.
But no, that's
In a legal
to be honest,
sense.
No, it's provoking, but it's more fits under antagonizing.
So
Again, provoking in a legal sense.
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, we could just be sitting there and pulling on its hair until it turns around and stabs us with a pencil.
Yeah, sure, we could do that.
You were horrible at
Wait,
school.
you
weren't
did
No,
that,
no,
didn't
that was
you?
my dad. He had a crush on the girl that sat in front of him, and she had this really long blonde hair, and so we kept pulling on it, and she turned around and stabbed him in the knee with a pencil, and he still has his pencil lead stuck in there.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I learnt not to annoy cats because I kept pulling their tails until they scratched me in the face. I was 3.
That's very effective.
Well,
They
I guess-
have wonderful tails. They're just there, and you just go, I was just crawling around at the same speed as the cat. Poor thing couldn't get away.
Well, I guess on that note, I've been Kurt,
I'm Amanda.
And Paula.
And James.
and we're signing off. This is going to be a weird one to edit.
Yeah, that went well.
I really want to know what it sounds like with the long line of just you laughing.
I think we should leave all that in there because it's the best part of the podcast.
It's the best part of the podcast, but I'm really afraid it's just long silence. I'm going to need to be sitting there going like, okay, is 15 seconds funny or is 20 seconds funny?
I feel like when you guys were talking about stems and crowns and you were like, it's a misuse, I feel like it's not a misuse. I feel like it's just connotative versus denotative use of it. And especially if it was like defined by biologists, like I feel like paleontologists can use it differently.
That was
See,
ridiculously and totally informative. We're obviously cutting that from the podcast.
I've
See,
been
that
told-
was
I've-
what I was trying to say, but I'm too freaking tired to say it.
I
and I'm
agree
glad
with
you're
you,
here.
but I've been told by other douchebag paleontologists that I'm misusing the term.
People are douchebags. That's something we can all agree on, right?
Is that the title of the podcast now?
That should be the title of the podcast. People are douchebags.